Hey guys, we have a special guest visiting us at the tavern today. We have indie wrestler, Pittsburgh's own, the IWC World Heavyweight Champion, Bulk Nasty. What's up, man? How are you?
Good. How are you guys?
Good.
Doing good.
Glad to have you stop by. Always fun to talk some wrestling, especially with someone from the Pittsburgh area. Local, almost local to us. We're close.
Yeah, we're close.
Yeah.
Where are you guys out of?
Charleston, West Virginia.
Okay.
Yeah, man. So what's been going on in the world of Bulk Nasty?
Well, just won the IWC Heavyweight Championship in September. Defended it a couple weeks ago, and next month, December 4th, I will be wrestling Paxton Calloway, once again defending the title and retaining the title. Other than that, I made up to Buffalo for a show this year, and I was traveling a lot more before COVID, which I think everyone was.
Yeah.
And then last year and most of this year, it's been just kind of IWC. Made some contacts, and a lot of places are doing outdoor shows. So in the springtime, I should get out more to Kentucky, Buffalo, places like that.
Those outdoor shows are fun too, man. I've going to the outdoor shows.
What was it like winning that title off of Andrew Palace?
It was pretty wild. I remember when I started training, I had looked through, because I trained at IWC. I looked through like their past champions, and I was like, wow, that's a lot of like CM Punk. I think Colt was champion. Like, there's a bunch of names on there. Dreamer. It's like, wow, like a lot of people that I watch on TV held this title, and now I'm gonna like be training for the school or training for the company, and now here I am. Was it 5-6 years later as a champion? So it's not the boyhood dream, because I wasn't a boy when I had it, but it's definitely like dream come true.
Does a certain kind, when you see names like that, does a certain kind of response, do you feel the responsibility of holding that title and what it means?
Oh, absolutely. It's like, I don't know. I feel I'm very biased, obviously, but I feel like IWC is a huge player in the area, and greater like tri-state area, if not nationwide. And it's like, wow, like if you're gonna get the ball, you better run with it. We had Adam Cole as Super D champion at one point. Like, there's been a lot of big names, great wrestlers, that have come through. And it's like, if I'm going to be in that same book, I better act accordingly.
Yeah, I mean, IWC has been churning out talent. Like, I think they're one of the major players in the independent scene. We've spoken to several IWC wrestlers like Spencer Slade, the main event, Jock Samson, to name a few. Can you talk a little about IWC and what they're bringing to the independent wrestling scene, not only in Pennsylvania, but just the East Coast and the nation in general?
I said it on a different interview. I said even our shittiest guys could main event in areas around here, because it's so, everyone's so stacked top to bottom, and everyone is so, in a friendly way, like, it's not a bad thing, but everyone's so competitive that they want to outdo everybody. You have the main event and then Money Shot feuding everywhere. Like, all they do is wrestle each other, and every time it's like, who's gonna come out on top? Who's gonna come out on top? And it's iron sharpens iron. And then you have guys like you said, like Spencer Slade. Him and Cole Carter had a bunch of good matches. Bill Collier and Spencer had a bunch of good matches. Like, it's all these guys who are like the next big thing, and they're just out here trying to like one up each other, and it's fantastic.
That's awesome, man. Like, speaking of the independents, if you were to tell a wrestling fan who maybe only watches the major companies on cable why they should come out and support independent wrestling, what would you tell them? Like, why is independent wrestling important to you?
I think the analogy I always use is like for example, IWC. IWC is not the NFL, but IWC is like Pitt football or WVU football, like people know it, people have heard of it, people will watch it. So it's like, okay, if you want to watch your favorite college player go off to the NFL, why not watch your favorite indie guy go off to one of the TV deals?
Yeah, I always it has two qualities to me. On one side, you're it's like watching college football and you're watching those guys get to the next level, but also it's almost like going to an independent rock show and you're seeing some undiscovered rock and roll band that never hit the big time, but they're killing it and they just didn't get seen by the right people, but they could be in those main event spots with anyone else. It's just they're plying their trade here. Like, I think independent wrestling right now is probably the best it's ever been.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that because with AEW coming out strong and there being more opportunities to be signed to TV, I think everyone's like, oh, like this could be a reality. We better not waste it.
And it's fun to see, like on Dark. It's fun to see like the main event and Spencer Slade and like
or
Cole Carter on there.
Yeah,
like I think it's great that they're bringing and putting a spotlight on these guys who and then when they go back to these on the indie shows, it's everybody's elevated.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%, and it's elevated because they have more eyes on them. Elevated because they're down there, getting coached by some of the best around. It's a twofold. The more exposure, the better. And with AEW doing all the dark stuff and everything on YouTube, there's so much exposure now. It's fantastic.
Definitely, man. So what are some of your we'll take it back a little bit. What are some of your early wrestling fandom memories? Like, who were your favorites growing up?
Oh man, growing up, I was always the biggest kid in my class, so I had a soft spot for Big Show.
Nice.
Back when he was a giant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Pittsburgh boy, I obviously love Kurt Angle.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And then I think like Triple H was maybe before Kurt. I can't remember, but Triple H was up there too.
I always loved
Like,
Triple H.
Yeah.
So
he looked up. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
He just looks the part. Like he's gigantic. He's cut. He can do everything. Like he's tough. Like there's that Tough Enough clip where he's like telling him how to take bumps and everything.
Yeah.
It's one of the most intimidating things I've ever seen in my life. And I'm 6'3", 300 pounds. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, don't yell at me, please.
Yeah. I love that clip.
So it's like you bring that energy out to the ring. It's like, oh my God, like as a fan and a normal person, I'm like, I don't want any part of this. I don't want no smoke. Like that's between you and him. And that's what it should be. It should be like larger than life. Like he embodies it.
It was even intimidating. I believe that's the same clip where he said he told the guy his nuts was hanging out of his shorts.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guy didn't know what to say to him either. He's like, oh. So what made you, you're a fan, you're watching it, you're growing. What made you decide to be more than a fan and actually start training?
Mostly my size. Like I remember like, oh man, when I grew up, I'm gonna be a wrestler. And then I just kept growing and I'm like, oh, like I maybe could be a wrestler.
Yeah.
And then when I Googled wrestling schools in my area, IWC popped up and I started like I said, like reading and seeing who the past champions were and everything. And that's when I was like, oh, like this is a credible place and it's close. Like this is awesome.
So how when you decided to make that jump, like what were your friends and family? Like how were they reacting to this?
No one was surprised because I had been talking about it since like middle school. And then when I finally did, they're like, oh, okay. And I was going at the time I was at Pitt finishing up my bachelor's and doing wrestling school. So like my parents and like the voices of reason in my life were very happy that I was doing like I had a backup plan, I had a college degree, I had ideas on how to in case wrestling doesn't, pay off. So they were happy, and then my friends were just kind of like, whatever, like go for it.
What was your what were you going to school for? What was your quote unquote backup plan?
I graduated with a bachelor's in exercise science.
Oh,
I was going to be a strength and conditioning coach for some college somewhere, hopefully.
Speaking of that, I saw you post a Transformation Tuesday post on Instagram. I believe you called it the Chump to Champ edition.
Yes.
And what was like, what do you, when you look at your transformation and where you're at today from where you came from, what was the one attribute that you feel was the most important to you sticking to that and being the man you are today in pro wrestling?
It's cliche, but I think it's like prove people wrong.
Yeah.
Like it's that, and it's also like someone's going to be WWE champion one day. Like, why not me?
Right.
Like, who's to say? So I think it's those two things, like being like everyone who laughed at it, like, well, now I'm doing it. I'm doing a pretty damn good job at it. And then also, you never know. Like, I'd rather have the oh well and the scars than the what ifs.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah. So for anyone out there that's like, not even like trying to get into wrestling, but just trying to transform themselves through the gym, through hard work. What I'm sure you had those moments because we've all tried, been in the gym and given up, and the people that start and stop so many times. Like, what's that cliche piece of advice that's like, man, if someone would have said this to me, you just need to hear this. Like, even if it's something that's maybe you hear a lot, what would you tell someone?
The biggest one, especially for me, I would say don't always do something. So say you're going to the gym and I'm tired today, I didn't sleep well. Well, go and just do 20 minutes. Because either you'll like it and you'll wake up and you'll finish your workout, or you just went. Because then when it's I'll go tomorrow, and the next thing you know it's I'll go tomorrow, and then it's Monday again. You didn't go to the gym. So I think whenever you got a goal, whether it's fitness related or otherwise, I think you need to have little breadcrumb goals along the way. Like, hey, I'm going to do at least 20 minutes of cardio 3 days a week.
Yeah.
It's something along the way. And hey, I'm going to try to lose 3 pounds today or this week or month instead of 2. Something like that. Like, always just try to, even if it's just one step at a time, like little baby steps, do something each day you're supposed to.
And I feel like, if you put that work in, you get to reward yourself. And I've seen you post some pretty epic cheat meals, man. What is your go-to cheat meal? Like, if you've put in the work for a week and you get to go just as hard as you want, what's on your cheat meal?
It's either going to be wings or sushi, I think.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Sushi. Love it.
Wings, love it.
Yeah, wings.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's the best. You can't go wrong.
What how do you like your wings? Just original, the OG, or
so even though I'm a big guy, I have a very sensitive palate, so I avoid anything too hot. I'll do garlic parm, and if it's all you can eat wings, I'll start with that and then go to maybe like the mild classic buffalo, just more taste and zing, or barbecue. But yeah, I'm a big sissy when it comes to spicy food.
I'm not real big into spice either. I know
I'm a spicy. I like the heat. I like the heat.
Yeah.
So when you were in the training, when you're at IWC, you're training. We've talked to a lot of people, and they always talk about taking those first bumps or hitting the ropes for the first time and getting those bruises and building those calluses and things like that. But when you think about those early days of training, was the physicality of it or the psychology of learning wrestling, what was harder for you? What did you gravitate towards, and what was more difficult?
I think for me, some of it was I had cardio issues. I still do. I'm not in shape by any means, but I was even in worse shape then. So between having cardio issues and like agility issues, a lot of the drills we would do and a lot of the move, because you go to school, you're learning everything, not just what you want to do. Some of them I could not do, like anything involving a handstand or like cartwheel type thing. I couldn't do it. The psychology, I think, kind of it was just there. The only thing that I had a problem with was I would always think too small. I wasn't big picturing it. So like eventually, like I think probably about three-quarters of the way through training, I was like, oh, like I can do a lot more with this, not just like bare bones it. Like I don't know if you guys ever seen Gladiator, but when he kills the guy real quick
Yeah.
and no one cheers, yeah, you gotta win the crowd.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, talk a little bit about that. Being the powerhouse, working like a big man, and the lessons of that.
Um, you just gotta if you got it, flaunt it. So if you're a big guy, do big guy things. Um, don't try to be technical wrestler or a high flyer. If you're coming in over 300 pounds, like you should just use 300 pounds to like bulldoze everybody.
Yeah.
Don't worry about jumping off the top rope or whatever. Um, just use what God gave you, or you gave yourself, or whatever you want to believe.
You talked about, gravitating towards the Giant, aka Big Show, when you were a fan. Is there any other big men like that now that you've been training, you've been hitting the roads, you've been having those matches? Do you look back at any of the big men that maybe you didn't appreciate as a young fan, and now you look back and you're like, man, and you kind of watch game tape on them?
Absolutely. I think a lot of it is because I'm not 7 feet tall, 500 pounds like Big Show is. So, although I was always the biggest kid in class, and I identified with him, now I'm just like, if I got signed to the WWE, I'd be like average to above average size.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, so I'm not really going to be watching Andre or Big Show. Now I'm going to be watching more tape on guys like Kane, some Undertaker. He's a lot more agile than I am with the, old school and everything like that. So kind of avoid that. But guys like Vader, even Davey Boy, you
Yeah.
know, and lately I've been watching a lot of Steiner Brothers just because
Oh,
I'm on a tag team wrestling kick. But like a lot of those things, I'm like, okay, I can work with that. And then a modern day guy would be like Killer Cross,
oh.
Sheamus, um, guys like that are big, but they're not giants.
When you're watching like Steiner Brothers, what are you picking up from them? What's gravitating towards you? And you're like, man, that right there.
Just everything they did hurt. There was no wasted energy. It was efficient, and everything was just maximum pain. Like no matter what it was, like even if, like Scott Steiner grabs you for a headlock, even Rick Steiner, like they're gonna pop your head off. Like everything they did hurt, and I was like, I don't know what will be worse, like grappling with them or being thrown by them.
They really did work. Like that is true, man.
Yeah,
That is
man.
so true. Now you
They
were
just
talking.
broke.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just saying they just broke everything they touched. They smashed it.
So you were talking about being on a big tag team kick. Why don't you talk a little bit about the tag team Steak and Eggs and its origin and where that pretty awesome name came from?
Well, I believe it was March or May of 2019. This trainee was having his debut match, and for some reason was obsessed with me. And we were in a tag match, and we won. And then somehow got in another tag match, and somehow won again. And mostly it was me. I carried the team. I did everything, but somehow this young trainee would always get the pinfall, And Plummer's like, wow, you guys are on a winning streak. You might as well keep it going. And I'm like, no. And then it just kind of became a thing. Uh, After much harassment by him, I started to embrace it. And the big meathead breakfast is steak and eggs. So I'm a meathead, and he claims to be one. So steak and eggs was born.
I love it.
So
I
awesome.
love it.
It was the odd couple through and through.
What do you like and dislike about tag team wrestling compared to singles wrestling?
I don't like having. I want to be responsible for all of my actions. You know, I don't want to lose because of somebody. I don't even want to win because of somebody. I'd rather do it myself. So I didn't like that X factor of, is my partner going to show up? Is he going to show up mentally? Like, what have you? Like, what if I lose? I want to know because it's something I did and I can go back and fix it.
Right.
I can't fix a tag partner.
Yeah. So talk a little. Okay. So what are some of your passions or just things that you enjoy outside of wrestling when you're winding down and relaxing that doesn't have anything to do with wrestling?
I'm a big movie guy. I will always be dropping movie references, other pop like TV shows and stuff. So movies, TV, reading, and probably video games. I don't do much the way my current work schedule is and life. Everything is more of just out the door, home, sleep, repeat.
Right.
But if I am like, you know, treating myself or whatever, like going to the movies is buy yourself big bag of popcorn, all the butter you can fit in there. That's like a good, you know, like self-care day.
You're speaking my kind of language. I'm a film school kid. So
Okay.
I'm a big movie guy. So I got to dig a little deeper. What's some of your movies? Like some of your desert island movies that you love?
Good Will Hunting.
Oh, good one.
Deadpool.
Oh,
Hilarious.
Man, great.
And then let's say The Goonies.
Oh, classic.
And then we'll go sports movie. Friday Night Lights.
Oh man, that movie. I even like the TV series that came off of that. I thought it was pretty good.
I never watched a TV series, but that movie was so depressing. And Tim McGraw's such a dick in that movie, but it's so good.
Yeah, Billy Bob. I mean, that I believe it's based off a true story, right? Like,
yeah, that's how big football was in Texas, and I think that's I guess it would be the underdog team, but they didn't pull it off. Spoiler alert.
I love the scene in that movie when I think they're at a diner and it just shows you how big it is in the community and the kids are there and that guy puts his fist up and he's got the high school championship ring on and he's like, go get you one of these, boys. Like stuff like they really like captured like the football scene in Texas. I loved it.
Right.
What video games? What kind of games you play?
I'm a big nerd. I'll be honest with you. So last thing I was playing was The Witcher.
Oh yeah.
Because I have ADD, so I get halfway through it, realize I made a mistake, and restart everything. Get halfway through it again, and be like, oh, I want to do it differently, and then restart it again.
All right. So okay.
Yeah, we gotta ask about this because he's been he's been on our show before. And I know you guys have had words and you've feuded and you've had several matches. Talk a little bit about your feud with Jock Samson.
Oh, man, Jock Samson. I think probably a good 70% of my wins in professional wrestling have come by beating Jock Samson. Like, all I do is beat him. It's bad. It's every time. He comes in, he gets all high and mighty, and then I beat him. And then like next time he comes back and he has more people with him, and I beat them up too. And I just beat him up all the time. Even when he wins the match, I still beat him up. So My relationship with Jock Sampson would be that of love and caring, obviously.
Yeah.
He's padded your record a lot for you.
Yeah, he's really done me a lot of success.
Make that win column go up.
Yeah, just crushing it.
Yeah, I thought you were going to be the one to possibly take the title off of him, but that didn't end up happening. I saw you comment on that.
Yeah, yeah, that's a shame, but title's home now. That's all that matters. Uh, but to get a little insider, uh, Jock Sampson won the title off of Jimmy Vegas. Jimmy Vegas is a close mentor and friend of mine, so it would have been nice to beat the guy who beat him. But like I said, I think I've beaten Jock Sampson every day and twice on Sunday in the past, so it doesn't matter.
I got to ask about your time in the ring with a young up and comer at the time who we all now know as Wardlow in AEW. And you guys you've been in the ring quite a bit together. Mm-hmm. What was it like being around him, early in his career and watching the trajectory of that guy?
I remember he came to the one show and I was like, oh, wow, like another big dude. Cool. I like it. And then he was a little bit further ahead of me with training and his career. So as I was still a trainee, I was watching him wrestle and I was like, all right, like definitely going to wrestle you at one point. And it was just one of those things where, at one point he was like the pretty boy Jock and then the crowd loved him. And it was just like, I watched him blossom into who he is now. And it's just, I was like, okay, cool. And then I think three official times we faced off one-on-one. Well, it was just every time it was just, okay, we can do this again tomorrow. We can do it Monday. Like, let's just do this forever.
Yeah.
So we have good chemistry together, and we're both just big dudes who just hit hard. And he'll bring aspects with his agility, and I was the only one to overpower him in IWC, so it was kind of like perfect storm, Batman, Joker, cliches.
So when you're in, like, when you see a guy like that and you guys are, coming up, wrestling in the same promotion, do you spot people like him, or do you see something like, okay, this kid has something? Do you see that? Like, is it noticeable to everyone in the company?
Yeah. Yeah. If you don't see it, there's something wrong. Cause like with Wardlow, he has size, he has looks, he can, wrestle his face off, like, checks all the boxes. Pretty boy, like, it's great. There's some other guys where you're like, oh yeah, like Spencer Slade, great story, highly motivational, great physique, can wrestle 10,000 ways, the man at 10,000 holds. Cool, you got something special. Cole Carter, oh, you look like a young Von Erich, and you're diced. Yeah, you're gonna be something cool too. So it's just like, especially for like being in IWC as long as I have, it's like, oh yeah, I can, like, Money Shot. It's like, oh wow, a legitimate tag team. TME, a legitimate tag team. It's like, oh, you guys have matching gear. How great.
Right.
It's a big deal with tag teams,
you can spot it. Not like you were there when Brit was there too, right? Dr. Britt Baker.
Yeah, I was in. Brit and I trained in the same class together under Simperhead.
Really? So you guys came in at the same time?
Yeah.
That's awesome. So
August 1st, 2015.
Oh wow.
First match.
And she was kind of the first, like, maybe I'm wrong. I mean, there might be someone else, but I feel like Brit was one of those first ones that really put IWC on the map as far as people.
I think like DJZ before her and Elias.
Yeah, Elias. Yeah.
But no, absolutely. She brought a lot of attention to IWC. The craziest thing was be like, we were both going to Pitt at the same time, and I'm like, wow, you're going to school, I'm going to school, but I'm going to be a gym teacher, and you're going to be a dentist. Like, it's crazy as you're doing all of this and going to be a doctor.
Right.
Like, how cool are you going to be?
And if I'm not mistaken, she still practices
Yeah.
through the week,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It's she like what can she not like she can't there's nothing she can't do.
Yeah.
Yeah. That talk about a work ethic. I mean,
Right. It's just nonstop. Just like she used to drive from Penn State to our training school every Monday. I want to say it was like 3.5 hours, 4 hours, something ridiculous. Wrestle for the 2 or 3 hours we had at practice, and then drive back to Penn State.
Wow.
wow.
And I was like, "Oh yeah, you're psycho. I love it. Like, you're great. Like let's do this. It's gonna
You
be fun."
fit right in.
Yeah.
Are there any particular opponents or matches that stick out to you thus far that really pushed your limits and you learned something that you still carry with you today?
Oh yeah. John McChesney wrestled a guy named John Bolin, if you're familiar with him. Anytime I've wrestled Super Hentai, like I said, he trained me, so he was always teaching me something new. But yeah, all these guys, they took me to my limit, and I was like, all right, like now I know this little trick in here and this little trick there. So I'm thankful for it, but yeah, like I'm still feeling some of those chops from hentai and some of the brain damage from bowling. So you know,
when you're in one of those matches and you can feel yourself getting pushed, like you're almost just having to keep up and it's pushing. What's that feeling like in the middle of the match, and what's it feel like when you come out of that match? Like what's going through your mind?
afterwards, it's find somewhere to sleep. I just want to shower and sleep. Like forget going out. I'm done. I'm spent. It's like the biggest adrenaline dump you could have, and it's just like I'm out. I don't even want to eat. I'm done. During the match, it's like when I'm trying to think of a good analogy, but it's like when you're playing like ping pong or something, and you're crushing every single one, and you're like, I've not missed 100 in a row. Like I cannot believe this is gonna keep going, and like I'll be sitting there and like I'll be wrestling someone who's like forcing me to elevate myself, and I'm like, all right, there's no way I can top this much energy. And the next thing I know, I'm suplexing Wardlow off the top rope. I'm like, okay, I found the energy. But this is it. I can't go any higher. And next thing you know, I'm like, oh, I can go higher. Like it just keeps going. You're like, I cannot believe this is happening. Like when is this going to, crumble? Because it's just everything's so fast paced. Everything's so hard hitting and intense. It's like, is my boot gonna break? Am I gonna trip? Is he gonna, knock me out? Like what is going to happen that's going to cause this to end? Because there's no way I can keep going this great and this, fast without something blowing up.
That's a great description. I've never heard it put like, but I can visualize what you mean there. Like, it's just like it's almost like you're not even thinking, like you're just along for this, like a flow,
and
like you're just in a flow.
Yeah. And I'm not going to cut you, I don't mean to cut you guys short, but I got to get out of here in a minute, but I can leave you with a good story about that. I wrestled John Bolin in a show called Wrestle Rex at the Rex Theater in the south side of Pittsburgh. Sam Adonis hosted the show, if you guys know him at all.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yes. Carmella's brother-in-law. So there was no barricade. So the crowd was just against the ring. And there was a lot of alcohol sold. So me and Bolin are throwing heat at each other. And he had a valet with him. And I went after her into the crowd. And the crowd swarmed on top of me. Like a riot broke out. And I remember being like, oh, I'm going to die. I need to get back to the ring. And I'm just shoving everybody. I'm smacking drinks out of people's hands. And I turn around, here comes Bolin out of nowhere and starts clobbering me in the head. So I'm like, I need to get somewhere because he's going to kill me or these fans are going to kill me or both. And it's like, oh my God, I'm going to die. Like, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I need to go. Like that feeling of like, I might die. Like, this is not okay. It just pushes you to go above and beyond, like physically, what you think is possible, and B, like creativity wise, like moves out of nowhere and shit like that. It's stuff like that. Sorry. But,
oh, we're wide open.
Yeah,
here.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, it's like so,
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, I know you got to get out of here. We have one final question we always ask everybody before they leave.
Absolutely.
So the pandemic's over. You're making towns.
Yes.
You're in a car. You can have 3 wrestlers with you in that car, alive or dead. What 3 wrestlers are making those towns with you?
In no particular order and for no reason other than the road trip hijinks. I'm not here to learn. I'm here to have many laughs in between towns. I'm going to go with Kevin Nash, Hurricane Helms,
Nice.
and Cesaro.
Nice.
Oh, that's
I
awesome.
like that car.
He has a lot of good dad jokes, and I think he could be the straight man in the back who always gets the one-liners out of nowhere.
You always need that one guy, man, with the good dad joke.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, Bulk, thanks for doing the show, man. Let everybody know where they can find you on social media.
Social media on Facebook is just Facebook/Bulk Nasty. Twitter and Instagram is Bulk Nasty 91. Instagram is my main go-to. So if you find me there, I'm more likely to reply or, whatever. But yeah, there. And then in person, December 4th, IWC, Elizabeth Courtime Sports Complex. And since I'm cutting you guys short, I would love to do a show again, guys. It's been hectic the last couple of days, so I apologize. But
you always have a seat here, man. You
Yeah,
can come
man.
stop by anytime you want.
We'll definitely have you back on the show. Thank you so much for doing the show.
Thank you.